Today on iCrime, police make a huge mistake.
No, that's oh my God!
Young vandals trash a convenience store. And later, an intense standoff with a would-be thief. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and this is iCrime. Our first video was so shocking, it has sparked headlines around the world. It features what should be a routine arrest and a series of fateful mistakes by two police officers that nearly killed a woman in their custody. The story begins in September of 2022 in the tiny town of Fort Lupton, Colorado. Police get a report of a driver pulling a gun in a road rage incident. A short time later, they pull over a truck matching the description of the one driven by the armed road rager.
I'm right behind you, Vasquez. I'm going to your passenger side. Dispatch left in 346, one at gunpoint.
Over a megaphone, one of the officers orders Yarini Rios Gonzalez to show them her hands.
Driver, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Put your hands out the window.
She is compliant as she gets out, arms raised.
Come on back. Keep coming back. Keep your hands up. Keep coming back. Keep coming back to the sound of my voice. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Stop right there.
Police move in to handcuff Rios Gonzalez, who's clearly confused by the commotion.
Keep your hands above your head.
Don't move.
What's going on? Why am I here? We'll explain everything in a second.
The officers get her to her feet and walk her to one of their squad cars, parked nearby.
Where are you taking me? We're taking you to the car. Come on. Why? What? Do you have anything on you that's gonna poke me, stick me, hurt me?
Rios Gonzalez repeatedly asks for her cell phone, while the officer asks more questions.
Can I please get my cell phone? We'll get your cell phone in a second. Is there any weapons in the car?
You ready?
No, ma'am. There's nothing on. There's no weapons in the car? Okay.
The officers place Rios Gonzalez in the squad car and leave her there alone to go back to her truck and search it. What happens next is unimaginable. One of the officers hears a noise.
Is that heart?
No, that's tire check. Oh my God! Oh my God!
With horror, the officers realize the noise is the sound of a train approaching, and that they have left that squad car parked on the tracks. One officer begins to run toward the squad car. Another officer yells at his colleague to move the car before realizing there isn't enough time. They can only watch as the train barrels down on the squad car, parked on the train tracks. The woman they handcuffed is trapped inside.
Move your car! Stay back!
This angle clearly captures the moment of impact between the train and the squad car as one stunned officer darts out of the way. Anthony Pope is a former police officer and now a criminal defense attorney. This video is really hard to watch.
It is very much so. It's scary. It really is scary. And it's difficult for me to get my arms around how you could allow a hazardous situation as being on the railroad tracks with your police car. It's, first of all, why did you even pull up on the railroad tracks? It appeared to me you had more than sufficient room to be behind the vehicle that you were stopping. And if you weren't, you could have also pulled in front of the vehicle. But if you had to pull behind the vehicle and you say, well, it's too far away, once you're out of the car and this person is under arrest, handcuffed, you put her in the back seat of the police SUV. You leave the police SUV in the middle of the railroad tracks and go and search the car. It's unthinkable. I just have no clue what these officers possibly could have been thinking. The hazardous situation, a layperson, anyone, a child, would have realized you don't stand on the railroad tracks. And to leave your police car there with a person inside, listen, I got to tell you, it's more than just negligence. And I've always been pro-cop. I've been a cop. Law enforcement, I support them. But listen, this is more than negligence, Elizabeth. This rises to the level of at least gross negligence, if not recklessness.
After the impact, the frantic officers raced to find the hit police car, radioing for a medical emergency.
346, patrol car was just hit by a train. Dispatch up to 346, status medical emergent. The suspect was in the vehicle that was hit by the train.
Police find the wrecked car and approach with caution, expecting the worst.
Watch the fence.
But as terrifying as this story is, there's one positive outcome. Miraculously, Yereni Rios Gonzalez survived the impact from the train. Rios Gonzalez spent time in the hospital and was released with 9 broken ribs, a broken arm, a fractured sternum, and numerous head and back injuries. She's currently at home with a very long road of recovery ahead of her. In a statement to investigators, the officer who parked his car on the tracks said he didn't know that his partner had put Rios Gonzalez in his back seat. He also says he didn't realize he'd actually parked on the train tracks. An attorney representing Rios Gonzalez has informed the police a lawsuit will be filed on her behalf. Coming up, would-be criminals.
Y'all all ugly, stupid.
An e-scooter gets stolen. And later, digging himself deeper and deeper. Our next video captures a massive flash mob of teenagers laying waste to a Philadelphia store, breaking shelves, throwing merchandise, and even dancing on the counters. The mob was so big, employees and police were helpless to stop it. A group of nearly 100 young people pour out of a roller skating rink and into a parking lot, where CCTV captures them damaging vehicles, with one jumping up and down on a car roof. The mob then pours into the Wawa supermarket next door, and what started as a normal night of shopping for some customers descends into destructive chaos. A huge crowd of young adults overwhelm the store employees and customers, running through the aisles, jumping up and down, grabbing and throwing items from store shelves. One employee records the chaotic scene. All he can do is make a record of the lawlessness.
Y'all all stupid. For real. Y'all all ugly, stupid, broke.
The 100-strong gang continues to show its disregard for safety as one hurls an item at a woman and a child. It narrowly misses them as they run for cover. Another young woman climbs onto a counter where she starts twerking to the encouraging shrieks of her peers. One customer calmly asks an employee if a sandwich is out of the question.
I'm walking out of here, bro.
Renee Cummings is a criminal psychologist. Renee, what makes a big group of teenagers do this?
A lot of the planning and the organizing for these type of multiple offender crimes, in particular, this particular type of crime happens on social media. So all of this is done in secret. All of it is done under the radar of the police. And every crowd, every mob has a leader. And that individual is the one who really directs the character of the crowd. So in this case, they do their planning on social media. They swarm into these places. They know what they're supposed to do. They have a time frame that they're supposed to do it in. And then they already have their disperse routes planned. It's very well planned, very well executed. And really, it gives the police a lot of difficulty because it's like, who do you charge? who is responsible. But I think a lot of states are realizing now that these things are happening too often, and one is going to be responsible for all. That's the approach the criminal justice system is taking to these flash mobs.
When police arrived, the flash mob scattered, and in minutes were gone. Police are working with the convenience store to identify the perpetrators, and they're currently working to decide what charges to file, one of them potentially being rioting, which would be considered a felony. The investigation is ongoing. Next, a peaceful neighborhood is left in shock when armed car thieves orchestrate a midday truck theft, taking it right out of a resident's driveway. In 2018, New Orleans saw an almost 20% rise in car theft from the previous year. This next video, captured in broad daylight, illustrates just how brazen these crimes have become. In the Lakeview quarter of New Orleans, a resident hired a handyman to come to her home and replace her flooring. The worker parked his car in her driveway. A dashcam recording from a nearby parked car captures a black Ford F-150 slowly driving through the suburban neighborhood. The pickup comes to a stop near a silver truck parked in the driveway of one of the houses. A man in a red hoodie gets out of the driver's side door and hurries behind the silver truck. Moment of the owner. After police arrived at the scene, the officer on call noted the black Ford F-150 actually belonged to him and had been stolen earlier that day. Later that afternoon, the silver truck was found, but many of the tools in the back had already been taken. No matter where you are, protect yourself with cameras and keep everything locked. Up next on iCrime, a scooter theft foiled, and later, excavating a suspect. Welcome back. In our next video, a courageous cafe worker has an intense standoff with a would-be thief wielding a dangerous electric tool. In Queensland, Australia, a suspect attempts a brazen midday theft of an electric scooter. Armed with an angle grinder, the potential scooter bandit gets an unexpected disruption. Dressed in nondescript clothing, a helmet, and a mask, the man crouches over the lock of the e-scooter. But a nearby cafe employee then approaches him, just as he's firing up the angle grinder to cut through the lock. The waiter surprises him with the simple question. Startled, the would-be thief jumps up and yanks his bag out of the hands of the Good Samaritan. He then steps up to the defiant cafe employee, and tension builds as the employee doubles down. The two men appear to be arguing with each other before the would-be thief puts his electric tool in his bag. As he tries to walk away from his foiled crime, the cafe employee firmly points for him to walk in the direction of the camera, boldly blocking his path. The suspect then turns and hurries away as the cafe employee curses at him. David Gaskin is a former assistant chief of police for Los Angeles. Boy, you guys always say, do not try and stop a criminal yourself, call the police. And this cafe employee walks up and confronts this would-be thief who's armed. An angle grinder is a weapon.
Well, it is a potential weapon. There's no doubt about that. I think the thing that the cafe worker did is he dissuaded the theft, and then he put himself in jeopardy. So you're dealing with somebody who can use a tool against you in that kind of a situation. Your purpose is not to take that person on. Your purpose should be to notify the police, be a good witness. In this case, he went a little further and he intervened to the extent that he stopped the theft. But that's the time to back off and be safe from here on out.
Yeah, if that angle grinder can cut through a bike lock, it can cut through your hand or your arm or your throat.
One swipe at your throat and you could be laying there bleeding out before you could get assistance.
So bottom line, you do not recommend people do this, even though in this case, he succeeded in thwarting a criminal and sent him on his way and nobody was hurt. It's not a good idea to do this.
Well, it's not. And I understand him, trying to dissuade the theft, but you also give up your advantage of security once you get so close to a suspect. If he stays away and lets the guy know, hey, I've called the police, they're coming, you better get out of here, and he does not close the distance with the suspect, then the only way he could be hurt is if somebody fired a missile, the object, at him from a distance. So he gave away his defensive position by closing ground on that individual. Keep some distance between you and the suspect. If the suspect wants to run or walk away, don't get in front and try to stop that individual, as you saw in the video here. Just let him get away. Take a good description, snap a couple of pictures. If he goes to a vehicle or something like that, get a picture of the vehicle and the license plate, things like that. Be a good witness.
The cafe workers opted not to call and report this to police. They say it's not the first time this has happened. And when it's happened in the past, they say they tried calling police, but according to them, nobody ever showed up. So this time, they took matters into their own hands. In our next video, troopers from the Vermont State Police Department arrive on the scene to issue an arrest warrant and are met with some serious pushback. Officers Skylar Velasquez and Gabe Schroff attempt to arrest Brandon Talman in an assault and burglary case when they're greeted by two very protective parents. Brandon's mother, Amy, puts her body between the police and her son, while Dad Wayne takes a more creative approach. At the start of the video, we see Brandon thrown to the ground by the officers, while his mother fights them to let her boy go. Their faces are blurred, but Mom is the one wearing black. Velasquez and Schroff do their best to contain the situation as the patriarch of the family advances toward them with an excavator. In case you're wondering who that piece of heavy machinery belongs to, the surname is printed right on the hydraulic arm. Wayne Talman owns an excavation company, but is using this work equipment in the most unprofessional of ways. Dad hangs the bucket over the state police cruiser in an all too menacing manner. Officer Schroff has his sidearm ready in case the standoff gets any worse. He shouts commands at Wayne Talman, while Velasquez tries to placate the mother and son, both still on the floor. Things get scary when Wayne swings the massive digger out over everyone's heads. Schroff pleads with him to stop as his partner ducks for cover. It's gone far enough, and the officer aims his gun at Wayne, but according to Vermont State Police, it has a peaceful ending. Neither officer is injured in the brawl, and all three family members are reunited in custody. Brandon was arrested on his original charges, along with resisting arrest. His mother faces a charge of impeding a police officer, and his father, Wayne, is booked into the Northeast Correctional Complex and denied bail. His charges include reckless endangerment and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on police officers. In September, Wayne pleads guilty to 3 felony counts. He's released on probation with credit for time served. The judge also ordered Wayne not to use the excavator anymore unless he's supervised. And after what he pulled, I can dig it. And that's it today for iCrime. We want to see your videos. Send them to us at iCrime.tv. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, reminding you, be alert and hit record.